out back hanging with the guys, but we're putting the issue of men's health right in front of you here tonight.
June is Men's Health Month.
Yeah.
That's right, and we're talking about being informed and knowing more about things that you need to do to be more healthy out there as well.
Because of these reports, are you taking better care of yourself?
I'm trying, and I think one of the main issues is that people don't talk about this stuff enough. It's okay to talk about it. Heart disease is the leading killer of men and women, by the way, but everybody knows that there's certain things that people need to be doing to take care of your heart better. You want to quit smoking. You want to exercise. People know these things, but there is one other thing that people may not know about that can lead to better heart health.
Late one night, about 2 months ago, Mike McCullough of Timonium couldn't sleep because of what he thought was heartburn.
Took some Tums. Because every once in a while I do get that. Waited about a half hour, didn't go away.
After another hour,
I wasn't really that uncomfortable, except for when I laid down.
It was not getting better, so Mike decided to drive himself to GBMC.
After a while, it was pretty evident to me that something else was going on. Whether it was an actual heart attack and something major, I didn't know that, but it definitely wasn't heartburn.
Doctors realized what was happening and called an ambulance, which took him to nearby University of Maryland St. Joseph Medical Center. Mike, just 44 years old, was having a heart attack.
And these are the patients in the 40 to 60-year-old range that scare me the most, because they don't know that they have heart disease, and heart disease is silent. And 1/3 of the time, your first symptom is your last.
I usually try to go like 3 or 4
But Mike lived only because he got cared for so quickly. Doctors inserted a stent into the blocked artery, allowing blood to flow once again to the heart tissue.
He had a complete blockage of one of the major arteries of his heart.
Mike didn't know it, but before that sudden blockage, he did have heart disease. Partial blockage of a coronary artery. Cardiologist Dr. Jeremy Pollack says even in younger men with no risk factors, plaque can build up inside the artery along the wall, and the plaque can rupture. The body tries to do what it always does, fix itself. But in cases like this, the results can be catastrophic.
What the blood and body does is it clots off the artery. And when you clot off the artery, then every muscle tissue below and beyond this doesn't get blood flow anymore and starts to die. And that is a heart attack.
So the real question for people like Mike is how to know whether there is even a small amount of plaque clogging a coronary artery. Mike, a completely healthy 44-year-old man, did have one risk factor. His father had a heart attack at a young age. Many men get EKGs or stress tests during regular checkups with their primary care physician, but those tests do not uncover plaque buildup. There is something. It's a test called the coronary calcium score. Men with a risk factor like Mike can request a CT scan of the arteries of their heart.
And it can identify plaque, because in plaque, you get little pieces of calcium that light up on a CT score and can give me a number.
That number should be 0. No plaque in the coronary arteries.
And if you have any number that's above 0, you by definition have heart disease.
Had he been tested, Mike would have had a score above 0. If you do, doctors would likely prescribe a daily regimen of aspirin or a cholesterol medication to lower your risk of a full blockage. Now, just 2 months after coming within minutes of death, Mike has made some changes to his diet, and he's exercising more, and he's been talking with his 12-year-old son about his family's hidden risk.
That is the ultimate goal for me. I mean, for me, you know, I want to be there for him, but I need him to also, I want him to live long also once I'm gone.
Okay, so the bad thing about that test is it hasn't gained the really wide acceptance. It's not covered by insurance, so if you want to get that CT scan of the heart, it's going to cost about $75, but it is something to talk to your doctor about. And the other thing that that doctor wanted to make clear is that you're not supposed to drive yourself to the hospital. If you're having those chest pains, those issues, call 911. That's the quickest and safest way to get to the hospital.
But it seems like something that you can notice relatively quickly if it is happening to you. This next topic that we're getting ready to talk about, they call that the silent killer, because you don't know if you're being affected by it. It's called hypertension, and I spoke with one doctor who says that there are a certain few things that you can do to make sure that you keep yourself as safe as possible.
Doctors call it the silent killer, a notorious nickname for one of the country's contributors to several leading causes of death.
Hypertension is affecting the blood vessels that go to all of your organs, and so if there's an impairment there, then organs are going to see higher pressures than they're used to, higher blood flow than they're used to, and that's going to affect the way they function and can lead to damage.
Permanent damage that crosses the mind of some of the men around Baltimore, like Clifton Freeman.
Yeah, I have a machine at the house, so I check about once, twice a week. And, you know, and I monitor that. And that way, when I go to the doctor, I can see what the normal level is.
And right down the road, Tony Wheatley, who just 5 years ago decided to make a lifestyle change to improve his health.
Well, yeah, I went to more of a plant-based diet, you know, so I no longer eat certain meats anymore, you know, well, hardly any meat at all.
You're not going to get an overnight fix with this. It takes consistency in terms of your diet intake. It takes consistently in terms of your exercise and daily activity. But over the course of weeks to months, you will see the gradual decrease in your blood pressure readings. And if you're able to maintain those activities, it will stay that way.
High blood pressure can lead to heart attacks, strokes, and kidney disease. Dr. Holmes says to beat it, a drastic change in lifestyle has to be the goal. From exercise to how we deal with stress to diet.
We take in way too much sodium. Our estimate for the American diet is that it's at least 5 grams of sodium and above, and depending on how much fast food you take, it can be upwards of 11 grams of salt or sodium. We only need 2 grams or less.
The American Heart Association says at least 40 minutes of actual exercise is recommended to maintain a normal blood pressure level, but it's still important for men to check in with their doctors, check their blood pressures, and check to see if high blood pressure is hereditary.
If your father and grandfather and uncle had hypertension, you are definitely at increased risk, and more than likely you will develop it at some point in your life.
All right, so according to the CDC, 1 in every 3 people suffers from hypertension. That's 1, 2, 3. I actually found out that I had high blood pressure and symptoms of it when I was 22 years old, went to go get a regular physical, and the doctor said, hey, we're noticing something a little irregular, so they put me on medication. They said I needed to change my diet and actually do more physical activity, and it's not something that you expect when you're 22.
And just think about how many other young guys out there have that same issue and don't know it yet.
Yeah.
Got to talk to your doctor about it.
Absolutely, and do so as quickly as you can.
This scares me more than anything. Mary and Bill Jones, they were born, they were raised, and they'll never leave Dundalk. And then one day, Bill slipped. They checked his memory bank, and now Bill is bankrupt.
Yeah. Life spread across a Dundalk dining room table. How did Mary and Bill's love story start?
It was a blind date, I'm told.
A simple question. Bill, how did you propose to the woman of your dreams?
I really don't remember.
A man who could navigate you off a dirt road got lost.
He started taking wrong turns.
Nobody thought his life would turn out like this.
He was slowing. He was walking slow.
Finding out what Bill had was even slower. After hearing, vision, sleep testing.
We finally got the diagnosis about a month ago, was because he started to have delusions.
He was seeing things that just were not there.
Can you take your eyes off of him?
Not really. Not really. I gotta get a shower, you know? And when I'm in the shower and when I'm fixing my hair and whatnot, you know, my eyes are not on him, so there's concern.
Bill's work called and said it just wasn't working out.
I am retired now. I had no choice because Bill needed me. He needed me.
Mary knows her path. First, it's what paid the bills for Bill. She worked, ironically, in the field of dementia, and now she takes it personally.
So I went from a professional experience now to a very personal experience. And if you haven't experienced it yourself, you have no idea how difficult it is.
More difficult than a 4-ball corner pocket. How does a well-educated, athletic man come down with this disease in his late 50s?
Was there a concussion back when you were a kid? Oh.
Yeah. Football. Many years did you play football?
I don't know, but I was in my senior year of high school. So I got...
College. You know what he was better at?
Baseball. He lit up telling me about throwing out the first pitch at an Oriole game.
And I threw it, and the ball just went... You can almost see each stitch as it went. But Catcher caught it, and it was a strike.
Mary and Bill get out of their Dundalk dugout to go to the Memory Cafe in Bel Air to share their journey. They sit in a drumming circle where they feel the beat of relaxation. Mary writes everything down in a journal: date, time, what Bill did, how he reacted.
It says trust. My trust is in God.
Only God knows if Bill will get better, but Bill knows what these pictures prove. He has found the greatest love of his life.
I want to spend as many years as I can with Mary.
And I know a lot of you are in the similar situation as Mary and Bill. And Mary says to write everything down, fellas. Write everything down, the date, the time, how he's reacting, how your loved one responds, and then you can present it to a doctor. And they are so active with the Alzheimer's Association. They just went to D.C. and they met with congressmen and senators trying to get more funding to lead to better research and to lead to maybe a cure for this. Huh?
Yeah. That's terrific.
That's
yeah.
solid.
Best of luck to that family.
For sure.
Okay, well, we're doing a men's health special, and it just wouldn't be a men's health special unless we did a story about something that affects nearly half of all men.
Really?
It's called ED, and that story's coming up after the break.
Also coming up, we got some good food on the grill. We'll show you some good grilling tips to make sure you're healthy while eating as well.
And you're watching our Men's Health Special here on WMAR.
Yeah, welcome back in. Right now, we're going to talk about ED. It's a problem that the Cleveland Clinic found affects about half of all men. Tonight, we're hearing from a guy who was really brave to come forward and talk about what he did. It's a treatment that you may have heard of, but never got around to asking about.
It is not easy for men to talk about, but at age 66, Bob told us he's had just about enough of that attitude.
Men are absolutely sissies. I think an awful lot of men go through life trying to figure out how little they can share with other people before they die. Men don't like to talk about it. It's the he-man, oh, I'll be okay, oh, it's nothing, and then boom, you have a heart attack.
That's why he's talking to us about erectile dysfunction. Bob says he had some issues to some degree for years. He tried the pills, Viagra, and Cialis. They worked at first, but after surgery for prostate cancer, he knew it was time for another solution, a penile implant. It's a saline-filled device with a pump. In the locker room, no one would know. Bob even had the surgery, but without getting too graphic, it worked.
I went for it, and I'm thrilled that I did.
Dr. Andrew Kramer performed the surgery, which he compares to a plumbing repair, a 15-minute outpatient procedure that has changed Bob's life.
Where blood used to fill the erectile chambers, inside is a cylinder that fills with saline, stays there, and the look and feel of the penis is just the same as it was before. The sensation is the same, feeling is the same.
The first step for most men with ED would be those pills. Dr. Kramer says it's important to know that having ED doesn't mean you've done anything wrong with regard to your health or your lifestyle. And by the way, he says it is less than productive to spend any time worrying about what caused it.
Just like with cancer, you'll never know what caused it, what started it, who's to blame, where the carcinogen was. Can just treat it, just get to the treatment. I think it's the same for the erections.
The biggest risk factor for erectile dysfunction is age, but Dr. Kramer says he's treated patients in their 20s. That implant, it's been available for more than 40 years. About 18,000 men get that surgery every year. Bob says the impact has gone far beyond his sex life. His confidence is better, his outlook is better. He wishes more guys would just get over themselves and talk to a doctor.
I just know there are zillions of guys, including people around me who aren't talking about it, who have a problem. And it's affecting their relationships, it's affecting their lives. So I'm on a mission to help get the word out.
Yeah, Bob's been married 39 years. He's got 3 kids. He's got his first grandchild on the way. And by the way, there are a lot of insurance plans that cover that type of penile implant surgery, including Medicare. So it's an issue that a lot of guys are talking about.
Yeah, so one difficult topic to talk about to another one, mental health. A lot of times guys tend to bottle up their emotions and not want to talk about their feelings, but it actually impacts them pretty heavily. And we spoke with one man who's been suffering from depression for 40 years, and he has some tips on how to get better.
It's debilitating, challenging, and emotionally draining.
I noticed my mood was dropping a little low. I was starting to lose interest in activities that I normally were very interested in, and I felt that there was just something off.
We've chosen not to air this man's face or reveal his identity, but he suffered from depression for more than 30 years. He, like countless other men, has had to mask his condition, but he's fought back to make sure he's okay.
I think it's important to recognize that it's not a character flaw or anything like that. It's not being lazy. It's an illness, and it's a biochemical imbalance in a lot of cases that can be treated.
Doctors will tell you the stigma of mental health is changing. It's far more acceptable now to go and talk to someone about possible depression or anxiety than it has been from ever before. Still, Dr. Sandeep Sidana says more men need to open up.
We find that women have a little easier time dealing with the stigma than men do.
And it's not something to be ashamed of, says Sidana. According to the CDC, suicide is the 9th leading cause of death in the country. Warning signs may be hard to spot, but it's up to all of us to make sure if the thoughts cross your mind to seek help.
For men, one of the things they do is they may tend to withdraw as opposed to come out more. They may be tearful, but they may also just be more irritable, and they may be less likely to talk. They may become more reclusive.
I think seeing a professional therapist one-on-one is quite helpful because of the focus you have on the chance to talk about your situation and what's going on, and to get a professional's advice about how to handle that.
And while the journey can be long, it's worth it, as so many deal with their symptoms in the shadows.
We're among our peers, we're among people who are going through similar situations, and it's important to just feel like you're not alone.
The important thing to note here, Christian, is that if you feel as though you need to talk to someone, do so as quickly as you can.
There are resources out there that can help people. Now here on Men's Health Special, we seem to have lost somebody.
Yeah, where'd he go?
All right, say hello to Dave and Dave, famous Daves. This is Brian, and of course, Rob. Nobody knows grilling better than a guy from Highlandtown, right, Brian?
That's true. That's why we brought him in here.
Hey, listen, are men more, are they taking their health into consideration when they're in the backyard now on the grill? Are they?
Well, they're telling their wives and significant others they are, but they're probably not. But what they can do to make it look good for those other ones around the house and their family is that you can always grill salmon. It doesn't always have to be those steaks. Doesn't always have to be the ribs. You can take a nice piece of salmon, season it up the right way, and that's good, healthy eating.
Now,
you also focus on chicken as well, which is, of course, nice, healthy white meat option.
And the burgers we have here, and of course, we're watching what? The 80 to 20%, that kind of stuff?
Well, I would go a 90-10. 90-10 is going to keep it nice and lean for you. You still get just enough juice, especially if you season them up the right way. It'll keep that juice
But the salmon, though, that's the benefits of healthy eating. That salmon really does it, doesn't it?
It sure does. Everybody forgets about fish, but
yeah,
you can barbecue and grill fish as well. You can take it out back, throw it on the grill, and do it right.
How do you know it's cooked in the middle for a salmon? How do you know?
Well, salmon, you're almost looking, you don't want to compare fish to steak, but you're almost looking for a medium or a mid-rare in most cases. So you just want to kind of get rid of that pink. It kind of turns a hint of white, if you will.
And would you put the same kind of sauce on a rib, on a salmon?
This is actually a special pineapple glaze made with fresh pineapples we make in our restaurant to just put on that salmon. So, you know, pineapple obviously equals health as well.
Do you have people coming into the restaurant now really health conscious, looking that menu over like never before?
They do, and that's what's great. You have to have healthy options because there are people that just want to get into some serious nasty barbecue, but they're going to bring a friend along or someone else, and there's plenty of healthy alternatives for them. We sell a ton of salmon at our location.
And the chicken is always the standard, right?
Absolutely. Well, you can't go wrong. Barbecue and chicken go hand in hand.
And the barbecue, and of course we got to watch the fat on the barbecue, but you've already taken care of that, right?
Of course. Absolutely.
Look at that. Look at that. We are loading it up. That's the pineapple sauce, right, Rob?
It is the pineapple
Look
sauce.
at that.
And what's about this is going to add some extra flavor is the cedar planks that we're using.
Oh.
You can do that at home as well, and kind of infuse the the hickory smoke or cedar in this case into your meat.
All right, how long are we talking for a salmon on the grill? How long?
Salmon on the grill, I would probably do it about 2 to 3 minutes. You want to move it around, don't let it burn. Find that right place on your grill. You want to grill your salmon in probably the coolest location on your grill possible. So,
all right.
I'd say about 8-minute cook time total, and you'll be fine in a cool spot.
All right, Brian and Rob, they just show that and brag on it. Look at that. That is a good chunk. Thanks for keeping us healthy at Famous Dave's. And we welcome you back to our Men's Health Special. You know, when we get frustrated, we pop a vein, or when we look at our legs, it looks like a Google map. We're talking vein disease. You know, often we treat it with cosmetic surgery, but we go beyond that with our friends at the Minimally Invasive Vascular Center down in Laurel. Brand new facility, saving limbs and lives.
It is absolutely not just cosmetic.
Dr. Dormu was so unhappy with the treatment that your veins were receiving that he decided to open up his own center.
So people with aneurysms, people come to us when it's their second or third opinion. They may have gone to other centers and the other center says, your only other option is amputation. We're willing to give them a chance and see if we can revascularize them without them losing their limb or hopefully their life.
If you've got some heaviness in your legs or they're cramping up, you're feeling numbness in your hands or feet, or you're feeling any dizziness, that could be related to blood pressure. Do yourself a favor. Go get checked out while there's still lots of options out there on the table.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, so uncontrolled hypertension, smoking. About 90% of our patients do smoke, so smoking is a big risk factor, as well as high cholesterol.
This new state-of-the-art facility gets your blood flowing again, and they also take a look at the veins that everybody sees in your legs.
Cosmetically, the Cool Sculpt is one thing. We do sclerotherapy where we can inject a solution into some of those unsightly veins, not the varicose veins, but the spider veins that are just kind of ugly that people want to use to smooth out their veins. Those are the two only cosmetic things that we do.
So again, some cosmetic, but mostly they want to diagnose and treat all diseases of the arteries and veins.
The longer you wait to address poor circulation issues, that means you lose more tissue. Dr. Dormo has a saying where he says, time is tissue.
Famous Dave's is teasing us because we're not supposed to eat with our mouths full. But
Not yet.
What do we learn today?
Well, I think the main thing is that guys, for some reason, seem to have this issue where they think a medical problem is some sort of personal, failing. And it's not. It's just a medical issue. Talk to your doctor about it.
Absolutely. And I think the other big thing, too, is don't try to do this alone. Don't look up something online and try to correct everything yourself. Go to the doctor if you need it.
And all we have to do is eat right, exercise, and talk about it.
Exactly.
Right?
Just talk about it.
That's the game plan.
Well, thanks for joining us here on Men's Health. And I think we did something. We opened up the conversation.
Let's eat.
All right.
Get down.